Hi, everybody. Well, today I have a sad story about a couple who has been married for over 50 years, went on their very first cruise, and tragedy struck. And it seemed like a very harmless mistake that is also going to hurt the family going forward. So we have a couple, Glenn and Beverly, and they live in Australia, and had never been on a cruise, ever been on a cruise. They're a hardworking couple, never had a lot of money, they just day by day, like most of us, right? Just trying to get by and raise their children. And all of a sudden, one of their children won a little bit of money. And so he decided he was going to gift his parents a 4-day cruise, just a 4-day cruise out of Australia. So the couple was extremely excited. They've never been on a cruise. They've never been anywhere, they said. And they boarded the cruise, and 2 nights into the cruise, Glenn said, you know what? I'm not feeling that well. I think I got a little bit of norovirus. And so the couple thought nothing of it, like you and I do. If we feel a little under the weather, well, shrug it off. We'll feel better in a couple days. No big deal. And they went to bed. The next morning, Beverly woke up, and when she looked over at Glenn and tried to wake him, he was unconscious, and she couldn't wake him. She ran out into the hallway, called the room steward, who immediately called medical. They showed up with a wheelchair and, wheeled him down to medical. And she has nothing but praise to say about the cruise line and the medical team, how they looked after not only Glenn during this time, but also her. Also looked after Beverly, who was obviously very distraught and very shaken up with the situation. And it turned out he had a very serious condition that needed an operation right away. And they called in the emergency helicopter, called for it immediately, let her know. And all this time, they were saying, this is a very dangerous situation. We want to prepare you for the worst. Go in, say hello, say what you want to say, and if any last words to your husband, etc. They even contacted the children and said, if once you get to the hospital, to call, because this might be the only chance before he goes into the surgery, etc. And he's going to be very busy. And literally the minute they hung up the phone, Glenn passed away, basically right away. So they were lucky to be able to get those final words in, but tragedy. I mean, they've never been anywhere. They go on their first cruise, all excited, and Glenn gets sick and passes away. Now, as I explained, she was nothing but praise for everybody who looked after her. The cruise line, the medical staff, etc. Everybody, she says, was absolutely wonderful. But there was a catch to all this. She's now received an $8,500 medical bill. And the reason that they didn't get insurance is because they have a health insurance in Australia, and they were taking an Australian cruise, and they did not realize that they were going out into international waters. That's what a lot of people don't also understand here in North America, right? You take a cruise, say from Seattle to Alaska, and you think, well, I'm basically in the United States the whole trip. But you're not. You pass through Canadian waters, and sometimes they go outside the US border, and you end up in international waters as well. Same with a Canada cruise when you're coming up the East Coast through Boston, New York, up into Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. Same thing. You can hit international waters as well. And some people think, well, my medical, insurance is going to cover me because I'm still in the United States. They thought this, I'm still in Australia, my medical insurance covers me, and they didn't pick up travel insurance. And while she says, she has like a 49-page document of all the things that were happening. She knows they were trying to do life-saving techniques on the ship. This is not a case of somebody catching the flu and going down the infirmary and coming out with a $49,000 bill that we talked about before. This is only $80,500, and these people, he needed a life-saving operation services from an unconscious man. You can see the discrepancies, right? Where some of this is going on from those. That's why I really questioned that bill that person got before for a simple flu compared to this, right? $49,000, $8,500, medical airlift, overnight in the infirmary. You be the judge. I had a lot of people give me a heck for that video saying, how can you judge how much the cruise lines are charging? You don't know. Yes, I do. Here's a perfect example. So I just had to do this. My condolences, Beverly and the children. Imagine how the son feels. I sent him on this cruise. I thought it was great, and he passes away on the cruise. Just a horrible feeling, a sad story, but a word of warning to everybody out there. Now, they have contacted the cruise line and asked if there's any way they can lower this bill in any way. But she perfectly understands the bill. She's not complaining about the bill. She knows why there's a bill. She understands all the things they did to try and save Glenn's life. So it's not a question of complaining about the bill. It's a question of she did know they did make a mistake in not getting the insurance, especially medical insurance. Man, I don't know how many times I have to state this to people. Get medical insurance. Get medical insurance. I don't. Can I say it any more often? I think I'm going to do a video for 10 minutes where I'm just standing there saying, get medical insurance. Because there's too many stories like this that have tragic endings and people are stuck with huge bills afterwards. Remember, they couldn't afford to go on a 4-day cruise themselves. Their son had to gift it to them. And now they got an $8,500 bill after the fact, plus all the burial expenses, etc. It's a very sad story, and I don't want anyone else to get stuck in this situation. They do have a GoFundMe page, but yeah, warning to everybody, doesn't matter where you're going, please have insurance because you just never know.